most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo!
Why does it feel like Furina just took over? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic,
All right, then. Who?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that? Also, please allow me to ask, just how much work?
well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning, they changed into plain clothes. The people's resentment and get moreover, according to our... So, we arranged...
So, you mean...
And their goal was to force...
That's right.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Irenaeus, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help...
Your...
Of course, this performance was only made... We had to select a location.
So, in other words...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without...
Yes, that is...
Well, Clorand, as for you, you'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor.
Oh?
It's fine. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to...
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. So in other words, we can refer to this... Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That, according to Monsieur, a Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary... The fortress of Meripede was...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Just fast forward. Of course. It is only natural.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in—
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey,
Charge accepted. Lady Furina. Lady Furina.
I plead not. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other.
yeah.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since the... See? Even the... If you...
And...
Well, and if...
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't... That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be... all,
Who gave you that idea?
A curse, but in light of the...
you sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Lady Furina. Well,
Well, don't start. Besides, everyone knows that for centuries, one need only to turn their eyes to...
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used as compelling evidence to build our... that doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think... You tried to reference the Oratrice, but what...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally...
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your... While the court, you will prove yourself... That was no
So, you neither knew why Chad, instead of having...
The real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not... But the Oratrice handed out... You can't...
She's still throwing out all...
My...
If that pose...
Aren't you the Hydro Archon?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons thus did...
Isn't that?
yeah, no matter.
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! I'm still pleased.
If what the
Did she deceive... Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if you...
Wow. That does... that does... It has been a step...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use.
Miss Navia.
Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. So, Miss Furina, if we are to bud, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the Oh, and I do hope you'll act prudently.
Navia from the... If Lady...
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed.
Well, of course he had to tell. She's just
What's going on?
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
What?
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me?
Miss Siegewing? If you're present, Miss Siegewing, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siege?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar...
Thank you, Miss Siegewing. Lady Furina, you may return.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be an...
Well, considering your however, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it first. We don't want any...
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured... It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could have...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me! Listen to me, everyone! Please, think about it! Also... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale. According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Furina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the
No. The oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected...
Furina's been sentenced to death?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as is this sentence really appropriate for the
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to...
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was... But now, the oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume that...
Mm-hmm. Any
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave...
I looked but has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other...
Huh? So what do you see?
I believe I've now...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, however, I'm uncertain as to how much...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. The first stone slate describes what you just said. Does that mean that the second stone slate shows... This must be the point when the third slate shows the... Well, the fourth slate is the prop. We didn't believe that such a...
We know from the and the first stone slate tells us that long ago the Hydro Archon used her power. This might be the reason that.
That doesn't sound. That doesn't.
Perhaps what is about to take place has the truce and the original. Prophecy from the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with if we hadn't dealt with it in time, it's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, the stone slates
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress and the prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent... it now? So, but...
Let's hear them.
Incredible.
We're...
All Fontanians were rich. The evidence for that can be found... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the... That could also...
The Hydro Archon...
And yet, after many hundreds of years...
Yeah, so wouldn't it be trying to show the image in the end? Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you... However, while you were able to decode all the information when we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hit now that the slate collection is complete.
What?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of your hypotheses regarding in the Fontaine of old. The previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro. However, even though water had not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea... Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all
That's way too much information for me. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but it...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slate, a key point of the visual on the third, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation... You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, therefore, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of just... Yes, it referred...
I think I'm following. In truth, everything we've done has happened exactly...
What should we do?
Huh.
If that's the case...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your about the fourth slate. However, as for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered... This eruption was just a small war...
That doesn't...
was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but anyway, now that we know that...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before, even if the entirety of Tevat were to be...
That's not... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true cult. We've come so far. You can't just...
Indeed. I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophet... Just as prophecies are... Ultimately, fate...
What's happening with the Oratrice?
I believe It is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers!
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly...
Deceiving the heavenly...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained... She knew full well that and as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been far, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto this stage? All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your... I am... Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Rise.
Squall and Fury.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards! Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Go.
The wind rises.
Orders given, orders received. Life goes on.
Furina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad.
Mirror me?
The prophecy.
What prophecy? The people will all be
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come.
But doesn't that mean everyone...
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to
As for this, but if there were scales with all...
I suppose this would also be the... Don't worry, it's not...
Play out.
That's right. If you can keep it up.
But how will...
Don't worry. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already remember.
So...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the butt.
A trial, huh? What should I say? I'm sure you've all heard. In truth, as the god Focilo, once again, this, I thought...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going right? Calm down, Furina. Assertive. Now, I was wondering if you may now then.
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we...
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned... My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, We have heard it said, the scale may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment there is, so long as...
Lady Furina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for you.
Besides, That's
true,
No need for fright. And do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Furina.
No need. All right.
He's...
Lady Furina.
I see. It's as I thought. All manner. Really?
I'm...
The day is fine, but it's good. Maybe this is...
Lady Furina.
They'll...
Lady Furina.
Indeed,
Lady Furina, we're detecting
Understood. I feel...
Lady Furina, I've heard that the Are you crying?
This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god who's So hundreds, I never have I want to die. All I can do is keep...
Furina, you don't have to although I don't know what...
Share. That's impossible.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in some... Just share it.
A witness. And if to... She's right. But if things... No, Furina. But what if, Furina, is it so if you think about it long and hard? No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to...
Fine.
So even Furina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is...
Ah, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Furina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all a part of your plan then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the Oratrice. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia, and breaking through the institution that is the Seven.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Furina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon, the destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, Hydro Dragon. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. That should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontanians, have shouldered the burden of this sin for far too long. Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you pass upon us?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they feel. You are a devious one, Focalors. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
I, Iudex Nervillet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened? Has the death sentence...
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast. I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice, the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour... done my best to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from the whale. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless I can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Squall Fury! You dare to gaze upon me?
Life goes on.
The wind rises.
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself. Granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.